Welcome, Dungeon Hackers. Today we're going to take a look at Project Sigil, or Sigil. I prefer Sigil. We're going to stick with Sigil. This is the 3D map making software that is being supported by Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I did get a small sneak peek earlier with some early access. However, it wasn't until just recently that we've been able to show it to other people. So I'm going to show you how Project Sigil works. We're going to build a map, place characters and monsters in it, and see just how it works. So once you open the program, the first thing you need to do is click on the Create Table and put in a name for your table. This can be shared with your other players so that other players can get in and see the table as well and move their characters around. So I've created this Project Sigil test, and I'm going to hit play, and it's going to load. Okay, that took a long time to load. That was probably 4 or 5 minutes of me just sitting here staring at the wall. So they really need to get that loading happening a little bit quicker because not very much is being loaded yet. However, luckily for you, through the magic of editing, you didn't have to sit through it with me, just through this explanation. So this is the entry point of an empty map before you've started doing anything. The scroll wheel will zoom in and out for you. Holding down the right button, you can move around. Holding down the left button allows you to select things. And holding down the scroll wheel allows you to change the angle at which you're looking. Now, if we come over here on the right side, there's a log here where you can add notes for different things. We aren't going to do that right now. What we're going to do is make our first dungeon room. So we are in creative mode. We click on that, and it brings up all these floor tiles for us. You can see down here, the building blocks is highlighted. So the building blocks is highlighted. So this gives us all these different floor tiles. Now we can have wooden floors, stone floors. You can drag through this with the right button. There doesn't seem to be a large variety of floors in there at the moment, but you can see that we have blocks, stairs, ramps, walls, pillars. These are all in the basic building blocks section. So let's go back to floors. We're just going to grab a plain basic stone floor. Left click to select it, and you can then place one down, and it will automatically put it lined up with the grid. Now you may also be able to see right here where it says free place. If you hold down the control key, it allows you to place it anywhere you want, so it doesn't necessarily have to line up with the grid if you want it to be a little bit off for some reason. For right now, we're just going to go ahead and make a room that is all lined up. If you hold down and left click, you can drag it out and put down a large section of floor at a time. If you hold down the Alt button, you can then delete individual pieces as you wish. So that allows you to quickly get the basic floor plan of the room that you want to build. Now let's go and put in some walls. We'll scroll over here. These are little half walls. I like using half walls on the side of the room that I'm going to predominantly be looking over. However, they also have full walls. So let's go ahead and put a full wall here, and we're going to drag it all along this side, and it will place the entire wall. The R key will rotate objects for you, allowing you to then do this wall. Then we'll do the aforementioned short wall along here, and along here, and here. Now, even though I did put the short wall on this side, we can still rotate it to be able to see at different angles, to be able to visualize a little bit better what's happening. I'm going to come over here and we're going to put in a doorway. We're going to use this wall because it will fill up the whole gap, though you can easily put in little pieces of half wall. So now we have a wall here all the way around our little room with a door to get into the room. Now let's get a little creative, and we're going to put in some stairs and a second level. We'll just use these stairs right here. Let's rotate them like this, and along this back wall we're going to put in some stairs. We can come back over to floor. We'll make this one a wood floor as it is up above. But we don't want to put it down here, we want to put it up. You can just line it up so that it fits. But I think we can also simply page up to the next level. Yeah, and that makes it a little bit higher. So it looks like 2 like that. So we'll just put this railing or this second wall. It's a little hard to line it up there a little bit sometimes. So there's just a platform up there. So now we have the basics of the room. Let's add over on the terrain layer. This is for more outdoor stuff, and some of these are rather big set pieces to use. I don't know that there's a way to shrink those down at all. At least I haven't found it yet. But you can see there's a variety of different shapes and sizes if you want to be outside. Some of these are a little bit smaller. And if you come over, you can get to just some rubble. So we can put some rubble right over here. You can see you get some trees and some broken pillars. But we're going to come over to props. And let's just put a couple small props in here. Let's start off with a chest. Definitely not a mimic. We'll put a little chest right there. As we zoom in and pan over, you can see the chest sitting there. And maybe a weapon rack. We'll rotate it, and we'll put it right here next to the chest. So you can see how easy it is, how quickly we were able to build this room with multiple layers and even items within the room. Now, there is a fairly limited supply of options for things to put in the room at this point. There are some interesting things and some interesting formations that you can use, but it is still a little bit limited at this point. They do have a couple large set pieces if you want to put in something pre-made like that. An elevator, some other nice set pieces like that. But we aren't going to use those right now. So next, let's go in and add the creatures that we're going to have in this encounter. We'll bring up the mini menu, which is right over here, and we can select what we want in here. So let's just put in a few, say, goblins. Here's a goblin axe, and I left-clicked on it, and you can see it just put them right in here. Though they've got all these lines on them like they're grayed out, but then you can click that and it reveals them. This allows you to add creatures that are unseen by the players at the beginning of the fight. So we'll put in these 2 goblins, and then we're going to go to the token. Over here in the token, we have, in case we don't want the actual miniatures on there, it's easier to see around if we just have tokens. We can search for goblins, and we can see that we have a lot of the same, and we can see that we have a lot of options other than what was in there before. Let's get a hexer, put the hexer out on the board, and maybe a goblin boss. Then we can come to custom, and we can go to new mini, and this is where we can add our player characters. So I'm going to add a human. You can come in and decide what the body is going to look like, what pose you want them in, what they look like, the hair, the beard, because we all know that adventurers look better with beards. And then we can come over and give them items as well. So let's give him some armor, some gloves. We're going to put in his left hand, that's the hand that's extended forward. We'll give him a sword. And then in his right hand, he can have a a buckler. Apparently he's left-handed. However, he has no pants, so let's give him some pants. And some boots. There, he looks like a mighty warrior now. So now we can see we have everything on the board that we had selected. Let's go ahead and reveal everybody. And if we close down the edit mode, we can see some information down here about the things that we have pulled in. So currently on the goblin with the pick, we can see down here in the bottom his ability checks and saving throws, which can be rolled from right here. His skills, there's a show all button here, so it shows all of his skills, which again can be rolled from here, or just the ones that he's proficient in. His actions, he has the nimble escape bonus action, a scimitar, and a longbow. And his traits, attack rolls with advantage, do an additional 1d4 piercing damage. So now let's come over here and let's click on the player. Shows that he only has 4 hit points. But if we click on the actual player's icon down there in the bottom, we can load character from clipboard, load monster data, or we can select D&D Beyond character. So we'll come in here and I have a plethora of characters in here. Let's load Durwood. Although it's unable to load the character class, this class is not supported Horizon Walker. So it seems to have some bugs in it that I can't load all the stuff that's available to me. Unable to load character class. This class is not supported. It's a custom class. Vodos is just an Oath of Vengeance, and a Hexblade is not supported. So we ran into some issues with some of the characters. There still seems to be a bit of a bug in the system. If I try to select any of my characters, I have a lot of issues. For example, Vodos here is a level 11 Triton, Paladin, Warlock, and it tells me that the Hexblade is not a supported class. So it seems that it's only 5th edition classes that are supported at this point. However, if I look at my Durwood level 11 Bugbear, it also tells me that it can't use the Horizon Walker. But if I look at my 2024 version that uses the Horizon Walker, this character sheet is not set to public. And yet it just let me load it a second ago. I'm not entirely sure that it is or isn't loaded. But we're going to pretend like it is loaded and see how this works. So there may be some issues with my green screen. So there may be some issues going forward with importing characters, especially if you have anything custom in them. The program isn't going to be set up to be able to handle that. So now that we have the character in, you can see, yeah, he just has a hand axe and a longbow, and Durwood does not have a hand axe or a longbow. So there's clearly some issues with the import. But it does have all of his skills, has his features, though Durwood's a ranger and does not have Flurry of Blows. So there's a lot of things on here that are clearly imported incorrectly. And maybe it's because I tried to import a dozen different characters until I found one that I felt like was actually importing. And he has all these spells here, which actually look like they might be correct. So once you've imported all your characters, if you can, then and all the monsters for the encounter, then you can begin to run the encounter by clicking up here on this button at the top that says Encounter Mode. So if we press that, then the encounter begins, and it has rolled initiative for each of the monsters in there. So it doesn't let you roll the initiative yourself if you're doing it in the actual encounter mode. But you'll notice that once the encounter mode began, it started playing some lovely encounter mode music for us. So on the goblin's turn, he can use one of his skills, actions. You can see right here, it's got little toggles to show when you've used an action or a bonus action or a reaction and how much speed you have left. So I'm going to move him over to the fighter. And you'll notice that here it has shown that you've used 6 of his speed. So now let's use his scimitar to attack. You click it, and it puts up a circle of everybody within range for him to attack. You select who you want to attack, Durwood Blackthorn, and you grab the dice, and you roll it. He rolled a 4, which was a miss. And you can see that his action is now gone. Now, he wants to get out of there without being attacked, so we're going to use our Nimble Escape. This allows us to disengage or hide as a bonus action. We're going to disengage. So I don't know what this roll down here is having us do. But we'll say complete. You'll notice it still has the bonus action there, even though we've used it. So we'll just click that off, and we will take him and move him over here behind the Goblin Hexer. Then we will hit next for the next player's turn. Next up is another Goblin. He's simply going to attack and stay where he is. He will attack Durwood again. It's a little hard to control if the 20-sider is behind a mini, so you'll have to move that around. That's totally a hit, and it will automatically roll damage for you. I would suggest, if you don't want to have the game decide all the rolls for you, that you just stay in the other mode. If you just stay in encounter mode, then you can do this without ever having to accept the rolls and things like that, and you can still move things around. Next is the Goblin Hexer, and you can see that it has Minor Illusion. It's got Grease and Fairy Fire, and Blindness and Deafness. So let's see what happens if he casts Fairy Fire. We know it's a 20-foot cube within 60 feet. Lasts for 10 rounds. Although it does say it's a Dexterity DC 0 saving throw. We know that's not correct. So let's just put it out here, and we can select where it goes. And we want to make sure that we don't hit any of the other goblins. So we'll put it right there. Confirm. And I easily made the save since it was a DC 0, which is incorrect. Next we have Durwood. Durwood has a lot of the incorrect abilities and features as we stated, but I want to see what happens if we cast Spike Growth. Let's cast Spike Growth. Okay, and it is not giving us any kind of indication on where we can put that like it did with the Fairy Fire. So we're going to back out of that. What else do we have that we can try to conjure animals? Just hit complete. So we've conjured some animals. It's got some nice animation. However, what has just happened? Nothing. There's no effect on the board. Nothing has happened. Spell slot is gone. But it doesn't seem like there is any kind of indication in here as to what actually happens when the spells go off. So you still have to manage all of that on your own, which is more difficult if you're having to roll the dice in here automatically, and then on your turn you also then have to add in other effects on these. So the integration between the D&D Beyond classes and spells and abilities and the game table definitely needs to be updated. If you ever have more of something that comes into the room, you can simply click on it, copy it, and paste another one in there, and then you have an additional goblin that's come in, and it puts it in the same place in the order as the previous one was. Though it's interesting that it's, there you go, it dropped it below the floor. So you can add more people to it if you want. You can move people. After his turn, he's going to start moving up the stairs to try to get away. Up the stairs. And now he can defend the top of the stairs as the monsters work their way towards him. So, that is how the Project Sigil game map works. We could see that it was really easy to build the room in the first place and to place the monsters. It's fairly easy to maneuver them around, and they track a lot of things for you, like the movement. However, it doesn't limit you on your movement. It's currently Durwood's turn, and he just moved 30 feet over here, and he was down here originally. So, he moved 70, 80 feet, and there was nothing to stop you from doing that. It certainly needs some help with integrating the characters from D&D Beyond and the monsters from D&D Beyond into the game so that all of their abilities work properly. But again, it's just beta. So as far as beta goes, if you want to play on a 3-dimensional map with your party, then you could easily do that using this. Simply using it in encounter mode allows you to move everything around, still tracks distance. You can still track spell slots and stuff. When you click on somebody, any effects that they have going, it shows. So you can also add in condition markers by hitting the plus symbol and putting in whatever it is. And remove them with the trash button. So if you want to have a 3-dimensional game table that you're playing at, you can do that pretty easily and pretty quickly. So let me know down in the comments what you think about this particular application. Again, remember, it's just in beta and they still have a lot of work to do on it, and it's just been released for testing within the last couple of days. So get out on D&D Beyond and give it a try and see how you like it. So leave a comment down below on exactly how you feel about this type of a gaming table, whether you would like to use 3-dimensional maps or whether you prefer the 2-dimensional maps, or if you're just a theater of the mind kind of dungeon master. Either way, I think this is a fun tool for people to be able to use, and even if you don't use it for every encounter, it might be fun to use for the boss encounters of individual dungeons, or maybe just 1 or 2 rooms. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that jazz, and we appreciate you being here. Please come back and see us again. And until then, keep on hacking the dungeon.